Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, musical legend David Cassidy.
I have the early stages of dementia.
For the first time,
You got diagnosed years ago. How has it deteriorated?
he speaks out about his dementia.
When friends say to you, I just told you this, didn't you hear me? That's when I began to be very concerned.
And his family's history.
I always said to my son, if you ever see me get to the place that my mother has become, I want you to promise me you'll find a way to let me go. And don't let me live like that.
From the heights of success to recent troubles.
I was in such scary pain. I went and got drunk.
And the latest headlines.
He was concerned that a worrisome concert appearance might lead some to falsely believe his drinking problem was back.
Are you having trouble performing?
No.
It did appear you were losing your place. You stopped and said, I don't remember. You slipped on the stage.
People have said, what are you, drunk?
A Dr. Phil exclusive. DUIs and dementia. Inside David Cassidy's secret battle.
Today, in an exclusive interview, musical legend David Cassidy speaks out for the first time since revealing he is battling dementia. Cassidy shot to fame in the 70s thanks to his role as the oldest of 5 children on the hit show, The Partridge Family. The former teen heartthrob's face adorned posters on millions of young girls' walls, and his fan club had more members than Elvis and the Beatles combined.
David Cassidy became a teenage heartthrob in the 1970s as Keith Partridge on the television show The Partridge Family.
David Cassidy was 19 and had recently made his Broadway debut when he was cast as Keith Partridge. Soon afterwards, he skyrocketed into teen idol status on a ride he could barely control.
Remember Friday nights in the early 70s? Once the Partridge Family bus drove on TV, teenagers all over America went absolutely bananas for David Cassidy.
You should have seen what happened to me today while I was registering for classes. 19 girls and me are taking auto shop.
Not easy being the sex symbol.
In the 70s, when David Cassidy was America's primetime television hunk, just about every young girl in America had dreams of getting him between the sheets.
The show launched David into the stratosphere of superstardom. At age 21, he was the highest paid performer on the globe.
He sold 25 million records and was the highest paid solo live performer by the time he was 21.
But along with the bright lights, red carpets, and massive sold-out crowds came problems that Cassidy struggled with secretly. Along with fame came untold pressures that took a toll, leading to a dark battle with substance abuse. Take a look.
David Cassidy, best known for his role in the 70s hit show The Partridge Family, facing 3 charges: DUI, failure to drive in a single lane, and possessing an open container.
Yet another drunk driving arrest for a former teen heartthrob. Police outside of Albany pulled over David Cassidy early this morning.
If I take another drink, I'm going to die. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I'm dead. 1 sip, 1 drink.
70s heartthrob David Cassidy being forced to put his Fort Lauderdale home up for auction. The home includes 6 bedrooms, 6 baths, a swimming pool, a dock, and a boat lift.
David Cassidy is facing more legal troubles. The former Partridge Family star has now agreed to give up his driver's license until 2021. That follows a reckless driving charge.
Some difficult news from the now 66-year-old actor and musician. Cassidy telling People magazine he's suffering from dementia, the same disease he watched erase the memories of both his grandfather and mother.
As for Cassidy, the one-time teen heartthrob will stop touring, taking on a new role in the fight of his life.
After more than half a century of performing, Cassidy is stepping out of the spotlight. The 66-year-old made the announcement following a string of recent performances where he fell down on stage and forgot lyrics to songs he's been singing for decades. Many fans in attendance had cell phones on record and captured what appears to be David slurring his speech,
in a textile company,
stumbling, and at times rambling incoherently. Take a look.
The former Partridge Family star says he was concerned that a worrisome concert appearance might lead some to falsely believe his drinking problem was back.
When David Cassidy first came out, he kind of stumbled out. And then when he opened his mouth, started singing and everything, I'm going, wait a minute, this guy's drunk. That's what we all started thinking. And everybody around me started going, oh my God, he's drunk.
David, coffee, coffee.
David really wasn't out there long at all before the audience knew that, something was up, and they just started yelling things at him, and then they kept talking through his whole performance.
Yeah, obviously you're not listening, so it doesn't matter. I'll just shut up now.
I saw him kind of stumble and not remember the words to familiar songs. And he looked like he might be drunk or something.
I've never seen a concert that went this bad, ever, ever.
Now, in an exclusive interview, David Cassidy speaks out for the first time since revealing he is battling dementia. David, how are you? Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Pleasure to meet you.
It's an honor. Have a seat.
Well, thank you, and to meet you.
I was very glad to get the call that you wanted to sit down and talk about this.
I did, about everything.
And I've been a big fan all of my life. I understand that you recently have announced that you have been diagnosed with dementia.
I have.
And that you're now coming forward and talking about that in an open fashion, and
I think it's essential.
Well, I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. I wanted to come and talk to you because I know how broad your influence and your audience is, to let them know, I'm really okay.
Tell me, when were you diagnosed?
2.5 years ago.
What was the first symptom that you noticed?
When friends of yours or family members begin to say to you, remember I just told you this 2 days ago, and there is no memory of it. Mm-hmm. I can remember details of automobiles I drove in 1967, but it's the recent memory. Mm-hmm. And when that starts to become something that you hear from people who love you and care for you, mm-hmm. and keep saying, I just told you this, didn't you hear me? That's when I began to be very concerned.
Was that what caused you to say, I need to go get myself checked?
Oh my God, yes. I need to go back and explain to you that my mother died on the night of Christmas Eve 3 years ago now. I took care of her for 7 years. I was her only living relative.
What was your mother's specific diagnosis?
Dementia.
Was there a specific type of dementia that she had? Was it Alzheimer's or?
No, it was not Alzheimer's. Uh-huh. Beautiful woman and a beautiful person. I loved her so dearly. I felt a tremendous burden, though, to be honest. To watch your mother disappear is very painful. There are a number of elements that come to play genetically. My grandfather had dementia and died without really knowing who he was or where he was, who is my mother's father. It was very painful to see my grandfather disappear. And then to know that my mother was diagnosed, I think I was on tour working at the time, she was found by police about 50 yards from her apartment in her nightgown, nearly naked, and was lost on the street at about midnight. So when I got that call, I nearly lost my mind. Right. My mother, basically, she lived in a diaper and couldn't talk, couldn't walk, more or less just taking up air and space and having people take care of her and having really no knowledge of it. And the only way I knew I was the only person she recognized is when I would walk into her hospital room and where she lived, which was in a care, a tear would come down her face. That's the only way I knew that she recognized me.
Do you think about the fact that, wow, my grandfather's gone from this, my mother's gone from this, now I'm on the path?
Of course I do. How could I not?
Right.
I mean, what kind of a moron would I be to go, oh no, living in that kind of denial? I have the beginning stages, the early stages of dementia.
And you've been to Cleveland Clinic, right?
I have. I always said to my friends and to my son, I said, look, if you ever see me get to the place that my mother has become, I said, if you ever see me like this, I want you to promise me you'll find a way to let me go. And don't let me live like that. Please.
What did he say to that?
He cried. What I'm doing right now.
He didn't agree to that, did he?
No.
It's a burden to put on his child.
It's a horrible burden to put on anybody.
You say you got first diagnosed 2.5 years ago. Let's talk about your curve. At that time, you said you noticed short-term memory disruption. How has it deteriorated? How has it altered in the 2.5 years since you were first diagnosed?
I can still remember nearly everything, but things that happened in the most recent time. And people have looked at me at times and said, what are you, drunk? Are you on drugs? Or what's your deal? And I'm like, no, what did I do? What did I say? Because I don't recall. And I'm not aware of how the curve has gone because I'm in it. I can't watch it.
Are you having trouble performing?
No, I wouldn't say that.
There was a lot of press in the last week about a performance that you gave here in L.A.
Right. That people thought I was drunk.
Yeah.
There were people that said nasty
This is some
things.
of the footage of it now.
Right. Which I wasn't, of course. Absolutely not. 99% of the feedback was incredibly, remarkably positive. The only thing that makes the headlines or the news is anything negative, as we know that.
When I think of David Cassidy, I feel young, I feel giddy, I feel in love.
There's a lot of magic associated with watching David.
It's always been a lifelong dream because I've always loved the Partridge Family and loved David. So this was really awesome to see him. He's a legend.
How did that performance go, in your opinion?
Well, the audience thought it was fantastic, and as you can see the fans there, I heard nothing but amazing, amazing. I was suffering, however, from laryngitis.
Well, the reason I was glad that you called to talk about this is because I did hear some of the fans that were saying that you appeared intoxicated. So I looked at some of the footage, and let me tell you, when I practiced, a lot of my focus was brain and central nervous system. It did appear to me that there were times that you were losing your place because you stopped a few times and said, I don't remember. And then you said at one point, I can tell you're not going to listen, so I'm just going to leave.
When I was a teenager, before I became a recording artist, I was never more flattered. Yeah, obviously you're not listening, so it doesn't matter. I'll just shut up now.
And you did slip off the stage at one point.
Not really slip, no.
You slipped on the stage. The video was provided to us by TMZ.
Having not realized there was a monitor there.
If you'll notice, I'm one of the few people that still have monitors in front.
Right.
And when you have spotlights in your eyes, and you've had 5 eye surgeries, as I've had, and I've talked a lot about it, you'll see me there. I tripped on that, but I certainly wasn't intoxicated, and it has nothing to do with why I'm leaving, doing what I've done, beginning as an actor and a performer who's done 8 shows a week for years. Certainly my dementia has contributed to the reason why I don't want to go out and I don't want to hear, well, he looked like he was drunk or he looked like he was... I wasn't. I've already heard it from people who have said this to me in the last year. It's like, you seem like you're really not right. You were off. And I'm like, no.
You've had problems with alcohol across time, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Some of the fans said that they saw you down a glass of wine in one big drink before the show. So you can clear it up.
True?
They said it was in the bar.
I hadn't been to the bar.
The Sheraton in Agora Hills.
Never.
That's why I'm asking so you can clear it up.
But again, rumors start and it turns into like a firestorm. And once you've had a label, which is a fact that I am an alcoholic.
You've been very forthcoming about that.
I tried to educate because hundreds of millions of human beings are addicts. Alcoholism is a disease. Addiction is a disease.
Yeah.
And the criticism that I hear and the stories that I've heard, I've been at bars and it's like, really? Okay, fine. What if I was sitting at a bar, which, by the way, I like to sit and eat at a bar, and having a glass of water, which someone could say, he's drinking. But I can only say that rumors begin, and it's virtually all negative, hurtful, cruel, and antagonistic.
I want to show you a little of your show. I want to show you a little footage of it.
Please
I'm
don't.
not asking about the quality of it. I'm asking about the behavior of it. Is what I'm asking
Well,
about. But if you don't want to see it, I won't show it to you. Okay.
Because it may upset me, and I don't need to get upset, do I?
No. I asked David how he honestly felt about what I considered to be an impaired performance. He insisted he felt he did a great job. But when I invited him to view the footage with me, he declined, saying he feared it would upset him. If he really felt he did a great job, why would it be upsetting? Is there a deeper problem beyond his dementia? While he did not want to view it with me, he did give us permission to show it.
Thank you.
When he started singing the songs and he didn't know the words, I knew something was wrong because he had been singing these songs for years. He would have known these songs, and it was really sad.
He taught me a lot about life and being a star, etc. And I know you're really probably preoccupied with everything else you're talking about, but no, I can hear it. I can hear all of the conversation.
You told People magazine that you had been pretty much sober for the last 2.5 years.
Correct.
What do you mean by pretty much? David says he was diagnosed with dementia 2.5 years ago, and although he chose not to produce any confirming medical records, I do take him at his word. However, I've seen the footage of that night, and like many fans who attended his show, he was, in my opinion, impaired. I have to wonder if this was due to the dementia or if there was more at play. Many, including other professionals I consulted, believe his conduct appeared to be more consistent with intoxication than very early onset dementia. You told People magazine that you had been pretty much sober for the last 2.5 years.
Correct.
What do you mean by pretty much?
Well, I'd fallen off 2.5 years ago.
What gets you when you fall off? Is it whiskey? Is it beer? What gets you when you fall off?
Oh, I don't drink hard alcohol. I won't do that.
You drink wine, beer?
Yeah,
What do you
beer or wine, yeah.
Do you binge or you just...
I binge 2-3 days and then stop. And then I go back to AA.
How bad do you feel after a binge?
Terrible.
Head-wise, are you fuzzy?
Oh, God, yeah. You don't get really clear for the first, I don't know, few months.
It takes longer when you've got dementia, right? I mean,
it's
harder to...
It's like having a tire fire in your brain.
Yeah. So you were not drunk at the Agora Hills performance?
I was not at all.
No drugs, no alcohol?
I've never taken illegal drugs.
Yeah. The alcohol toxicity can be one of the key contributors to dementia.
I believe that.
Genetics is a contributor, what we ingest. If you pour alcohol on top of dementia, you can really have a problem. So I'm glad to hear. It's been 2 years?
It's 2 years, yeah. Part of the reason that I fell off first time was that I got the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And having lived with my mother for all those years and watching her disappear, the depression and the loss, my alcoholism that developed somewhere around the late 90s, where I was working 10 shows a week. And my marriage was very unhappy. And I was on such an insane work schedule that I put so much pressure on it because I took care of everybody. My mom died basically an hour before Christmas Eve. That's when I started really drinking heavily. When she was in her last days, I would come to the hospital. I couldn't come unless I was completely intoxicated.
Yeah.
It was too painful for me.
Your drinking came between you and your son, right?
Oh, big
For a
time,
period of
yeah.
time.
There were a number of elements that entered into it, but yes.
Yeah.
I was the ideal father. I would do anything for him. He's the love of my life. And probably the reason that I didn't kill myself, because of him.
You have a daughter, Katie.
A biological daughter, right? I never raised her.
Yeah, but this is not someone that you knew or was in your life or active with?
No.
Do you have any contact with her at all?
No.
Yeah.
Her choice more than mine, I think. But
Yeah.
because we had no, there was no chemistry to begin with. I didn't meet her until she was like, I don't know, 12, 13. She was sweet and lovely, and I think she's very talented, and I'm proud of her for that. My son sees her occasionally, her half-brother. She's a beautiful girl, though, and I'm proud of her success and her work ethic also. Maybe I instilled some of that in her. I don't know.
Now how many brothers do you have?
3 half-brothers.
Yeah, 3 half-brothers.
Right, well, we're all from descendants of my alcoholic father.
Right.
At least 2 of us, or probably 3 of us, got the gene.
So you don't have a relationship with them? You don't see them on a regular basis?
I will see my brother Ryan tomorrow. I never grew up with them. But because we don't live in the same place, we don't work in the same business, I wish them nothing but love in their life.
It's you, Sean, Patrick, and Ryan, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Do they know about your diagnosis?
No.
So they'll learn about it if they...
Well, I'm sure they know about it now, since it's been all over viral and now in People magazine and everything else, which is great. I want people to know about it.
Right.
But it would be like me calling them going, oh gosh, do you know I just got diagnosed? I am not that guy. I just don't do that. I didn't call anybody. In fact, at first, I was in such scary pain.
Did you go through denial for a while?
Complete denial. It depressed the hell out of me. I went and got drunk 2.5 years ago, and I stayed inebriated for a while, which was the denial. It's the filter from the reality. And once I came to, I began to accept it and say, well, there are a lot of things that I can do, both health-wise, brain-wise, and to continue to do the things that I love to do that inspire me. One of the reasons why I've chosen 2017 to be the last for me going out and touring, it's not, I'm going to say I'll never do another concert. I may. I don't know. But I just don't want to tour anymore. Go through the travel, the stress, and all of people's perceptions that go up in this cesspool of internet where anybody's voice can be heard, and people in the dark sitting there making evil comments or whatever. And it hurts me personally that a lot of my fans and a lot of people buy into it. Somebody says it. Oh yeah, it's fact. I just read it. It's a fact. And I can't tell you what a pleasure it is for me and what a great opportunity you've given me to discuss this and my issue.
I'm curious, having dealt with so many folks that have been through this, few that have shown the openness and courage that you have, I can tell you. Do you think you have insight, objectivity to recognize your level of functioning at this point?
Yes.
Or could you be in denial about where you are on the functionality chain right now?
I believe I do have a very good understanding about where I am with it.
Do you have someone in your life that you trust that can be your checkpoint, that you can go to and say, I think I'm functioning really well right now. I think I'm at an 8. Tell me, is that right, or am I at a 3? I think this concert was a 9. Was it a 2? Do you have somebody that can be a truth mirror for
Yes.
you that gives you feedback, and who is that?
I do. Well, he's one of my best friends. He's a brilliant musician. He plays with me. We talk together about everything, and he is as honest with me about me and each performance that I do. And we'll say, I said, I thought that was great. And he'd go, not
Is he
that
with
great.
you on tour right now?
Yes.
Did you ask him about this at Agora Hills show?
No, he never said anything to me. If he thought I was really out and wrong and not right, he would tell me.
I want you to ask him what he thinks and tell me what he says.
Okay.
At one point, you started to talk for a long time, and they played over you to get you to stop.
Yeah, and that was the greatest criticism in the last couple of years, is that I would occasionally repeat myself, but I would tell stories, and a lot of, other than my hardcore fans, that would come and, you know, I could read the telephone book, as people have said, but I always love to tell stories for the reason of taking him through a musical journey of my life.
He was most incredibly committed, had the most integrity of any human being I've ever met.
You've had money troubles in the past. Do you worry about not being able to work and burdening your family financially?
The teen pop idol David Cassidy is bankrupt at 65. But before his Fort Lauderdale waterfront mansion goes to auction, Cassidy hopes his 5-bed, 6.5 bath nets enough money to absolve his $500,000 debt.
Here's the gym. You know, age and arthritis has caught up with me a little bit.
But it's more than sore joints and arthritis catching up with Cassidy. In addition to the bankruptcy, the retired pop star has recently been to rehab for alcoholism.
You've had money troubles in the past. Do you worry about not being able to work and burdening your family financially?
I just did a reorganization from my divorce. We did it amicably. I have no financial problems at this point at all. I am in a reorganization. I don't know if we know the President of the United States now. I don't think anybody knows how many bankruptcies has he? 5, 6? Well, this is the first time for me. It was necessary for me to do that for my business.
A couple of questions about the Partridge Family
No problem.
era of your life.
I loved it.
Hello world, hear the song that we're singing. Come on, get happy.
Was that a fun time for you?
Boy, how to describe it. It was like being at the nose of a rocket ship. That family that you're seeing there was Susan Day and Shirley and Danny Bonaducci, who, I love him. He's just such an incredibly gifted and wonderful human being. But he is kind of like my little brother. But I worked 7 days a week. I worked all day on the set, and I would drive across the road and then record as the Partridge Family. And also, I had my own solo career as David Cassidy. And then on the weekends, I would fly out and do 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday, fly back to LA, and at 7:30 in the morning on Monday morning, I'm on the set. You try having a relationship.
Unbelievable.
No, it's insanity. And I did that for 5 years, literally, nonstop. And then I toured when we were on Hayes. I toured around the world. It was a magnificent time in America to be alive. And I think in the world, there was a lot more emphasis upon peace, love, and happiness.
If you look back now, think about this. You just described 5 days a week, 7 o'clock in the morning, then going across the street, recording as the Partridge Family, recording as David Cassidy, then on the weekends you're off. Thousands of fans chasing you around, doing stadiums all over the world. The most intense, I mean,
Intense life.
People can't even imagine. Is this the toll that it's taken on you now? Because we know environment, we know stress, we know all of these things that do take their toll.
I'm sure it's contributing.
Are you paying part of the price? Is that?
There is no way you can start and go through the tunnel having the largest fan club in the history of the planet and having people sleeping outside your gates. And there was a girl who I discovered was sleeping in between my air conditioning unit in my house and my bathroom where I showered and everything else for a month. I've had many, many, many people, stalkers. I had to leave my house for 6 weeks because there was a legitimate threat of kidnapping.
I want you to think about this. Looking at this picture here, at this era, moving up here, coming across, all the way up to here, coming around, down to here.
Right.
If you knew then what you know now, as you sit here today, would you take this journey again? Sit here today, would you take this journey again?
Absolutely.
How has the ride been?
Extraordinarily bumpy, extraordinarily elating me to a place of feeling like I died and went to heaven. I never had a job. I always worked at what I loved to do.
I think I love you. I think I love you.
Be it as an actor, be it as a musician, as a songwriter, as a singer. I got to do everything I wanted to do professionally in my life, which is why I struggled for the last year. Knowing the condition of where my brain is, and I have the early stages of dementia, and knowing that it doesn't contribute to my mental health to continue to do what I've been doing. So I'm going to do 2 shows in about 2 weeks, and that will be what I think is my final concert, and certainly what I've planned on in 2017. But it took me a year to really make the decision because I've never known anything else since I was 3.5 years old. I've had foot surgery. I get shots in my back for cortisone. I have arthritis in my hands. And I'm just going to keep going because it's what I know to do. It's what I love to do. And it's funny what adrenaline does, as you would know this. When I get out on the stage, I could be limping before I get out on the stage. When I got on the stage, bang.
Do you trust yourself now, cognitively, to be by yourself, live independently, drive around, do the things you need to do?
Absolutely. I completely do. And I live, basically I live alone, but
your short-term memory is...
It occasionally does fail, and I have to acknowledge it, accept it, and not live in denial of it.
But for example, if I bought something from you for $1.87 and I gave you $5, how much change would you give me?
Well, I'd give you about $3.13, right? Something like that.
Yeah. So you calculate well.
Very well.
And where do you stay out here when you come?
Here in town.
In a hotel?
Yeah, a very small boutique hotel.
Yeah. What was your room number?
227.
Yeah.
I might have a key in my pocket. What does that say?
It says 227.
Thank you.
All right, there you go.
See, I'm not that far gone yet. That's what I mean.
What's your greatest fear for the future as you continue on this path?
Being in the place that my mother was the last 2 years of her life, where I would completely disappear and I'd just be a burden to caretakers. And Couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't sing, couldn't play. That's kind of my greatest fear, actually, yeah.
Do you think retiring from
touring,
show business touring, at least, do you think that silence is going to be deafening?
No, and I'll tell you why. I've done so many thousands of performances, writing, creating television series, producing shows in Vegas. I did over 2,000 shows in Las Vegas. So I've experienced all of it. I've written hundreds of songs that I've recorded, and other artists have recorded some of my music. So there's not anything left that I haven't done that I need to feed myself and fulfill my creative juices, you know, and that's where I am. I'm just completely and totally comfortable with the idea.
Last question. What do you want to most be remembered for? Last question. What do you want to most be remembered for?
Spreading love, bringing light into people's lives, giving everything in my heart and soul, because I know I'm a loving, caring human being. I don't mind being remembered for being an alcoholic. I don't mind being that.
Well, as someone that works in the mental health field, I can't thank you enough for shining a light on dementia and letting people know where you are on the curve right now and facing this. I want my team to join your team and let us help you in any way that we can.
I'd love to talk about it.
Because I have access to the best of the best, and if I can help you in any way, I'm telling you right now.
I love that you just offered
I'm on
me
your
that.
team.
Well, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. God
David,
bless you.
Thank you so much, my friend.
My pleasure.
I want to thank David Cassidy for bravely opening up about his struggles with dementia for the first time. I have offered him every resource in my considerable support system, be it for diagnosis or treatment planning for dementia, or inpatient dual diagnosis treatment for alcoholism. We stand ready to provide resources and support to David, as I hope many others in his life do as well. If you or a loved one is suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, go to drphil.com. When you get there, you're going to find more information about this disease. We're going to address the myths that plague people's understanding about this and give you some of the facts that you need to know to recognize this disease and information that's important in dealing with it for yourself or for a family member. You can also call the 24-hour helpline from Alzheimer's Association, 1-800-272-3900, or you can visit their website, alz.org, for support groups or more information. Thanks for watching.
I'm sleeping right in the middle of a good dream. Like all at once I wake up with something that keeps knocking at my brain.
Magical is so the word. The first concert I went to of his was in Galveston, Texas, and it was just like there was pure magic in the air.
I love him because he's probably my first crush when I was little, you know, Partridge Family, watching that when I was little.
I just want to thank him for all the years of performing, that I was able to really appreciate him and his music and all he's done, and the fact that I think he's pretty great.
New today.
Constant drama at a high school.
The principal was shot inside the school.
The school or not the school, the debate continues.
They call these parents radical because they refuse to send their kids to school.
Schools are like prisons.
No assigned books, no tests, no grades, as though school doesn't even exist.
We don't live by rules.
I don't know, what do you think? Are these kids going to wind up paying a big price for their parents' choices? I'm getting ready to clue this couple in, tell them at least what I think. Your kids don't work against deadlines.
They have their own deadlines.
That's not the way it works.
If a child chooses to go to school, that's great.
How can they choose it if they're not exposed to it? They're children. I would be a vegetable if my parents said that to me. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go.
Stand by, camera set. If you're going to talk to me, you're going to have to be honest.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Showtime. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by, A, and roll A. Check in. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, now, look, as parents, we all want the best for our children, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we want. But what's the best way to educate them? Now, some say homeschool, while others believe in traditional school. But imagine this: no school, no curriculum, no assigned books, no tests, no grades, no structure. Sounds like a child's wildest dream, right? But it's real, and it's called unschooling. It's an educational philosophy in which kids choose what they want to learn. Now, my first guest, Dana, calls her family radical unschoolers. She says they live life as though school doesn't even exist.
I think it's cruel and disrespectful to put a child in school. We're radical unschoolers. We feel that schools are like prisons and that children deserve more freedom and respect than schools provide. We don't believe in forced learning of any kind. I am not their teacher, I'm their facilitator. My children are in charge of their own learning. We just live life like everybody else, and we learn as a side effect of doing that. So one favorite thing that we have to do, at least once a week, we come to the store, and the kids pick out a snack, and they use money, and they pay by themselves. That is math. This is a great example of unschooling in action, hands-on learning. Instead of looking at a picture of this in a book, the kids are actually doing it. As an unschooling family, this is a great history lesson. You can come here and see what it was really like back in the days where they used all these things.
What's this?
Oh my goodness, look at the forceps. They used to deliver babies with those. You know how it feels when you're on summer vacation? We live our life like that all the time. My children are truly free.
My feeling of public schools is that it's not the best environment for a young child. I was a C average student. The reason I dropped out of school is because I couldn't conform to their expectations.
I don't miss going to school because I still have a lot of friends.
Devin knows so much about nature. He knows so much about the ocean. He knows way more than I did at his age.
In 1,000 years, those walls are going to break eventually.
Because in school, people only let me learn what was on their curriculum. As radical unschoolers, we do not punish our children. We don't believe in punishment. In our home, we don't live by rules. We live by principles. They can have lollipops whenever they want because we don't have any limits on what they eat. They never overeat. Bedtime for our children is whenever they're tired.
Some days you nap and some days you don't, huh?
I'm watching on the swing.
You want to swing on the swing instead of napping? That's fine, we can do that.
Little Dakota usually falls asleep around 9 or 10. Devin goes to bed around 11 or midnight. I feel my children deserve the rights and respect that adults receive. I think that children are people too, and they're the most discriminated against people in our culture today. I never make them clean their room. At the ages that they're at, cleaning their room's pretty overwhelming. It'd be the equivalent of Joe telling me to go scrub the garage floor with a toothbrush. Dakota, do you want a drink? She still likes a bottle. It's her special thing. Most people would say, oh my gosh, your 5-year-old still has a bottle, but until she outgrows the need, she can have it as long as she wants.
I want it.
You're not in the mood? Okay, all right, we'll put this in the fridge. If you want it later, you can have it, honey. My hopes and dreams for my kids are their happiness. That's it. Their happiness, whatever it is. If they want to be a school principal someday, as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. We're not raising worker bees here. We're raising free-thinking entrepreneurs. And my unschooled child will hire your honor student.
Okay, that's pretty harsh on traditional schooling. You just don't think there's much place for it at all. Zero place, in fact, right?
Well, I think it has to do with free will and free choice. That if a child chooses to go to school, I think that's great. If my son or daughters chose school, I would totally support it. It's when it's against their will.
Well, how can they choose it if they're not exposed to it? How can it's like you're not giving them 1 year of unschooling and a year of traditional schooling and then letting them choose? Not that I necessarily think that's what you should do anyway. Let your children choose what they do before their brains are fully developed, but how is it a choice for them if all you expose them to is no school at all?
Well, they have the option to go and look at a school. They know what goes on there. They have friends that are in school, so they talk about it.
But they've never experienced it, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's not really a fair choice. You can either leave mom and dad, who I've never been away from their side, you say, and go up here with a bunch of strangers in school. So you pick. I mean, that's kind of stacking the deck against school, isn't it?
Our kids are pretty young right now, so we don't say that you can go or you can't. We just live life right now how we're living.
Well, you said it was their choice. So
Yeah.
you said that you live by principles, not rules. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think rules are made. It's hard to explain. Let me just gather myself for a minute.
Okay, well, think about that.
Okay.
Are you worried that you're running your own agenda here because you didn't have a good school experience, right?
Right.
You said it was negative. You were like a C student. You dropped out senior year.
Right.
And so it was not a success experience for you. Are you taking that experience and putting it onto your children by running your own agenda? And you're their dad, so it's your right to run your own agenda. But do you think that's necessarily an objective way to look at it and make the decision?
I wasn't great at certain subjects. I was excelling at others. So where, math and science came easy, the computers came easy, it was harder to read and write. And of course, I picked that up later.
At this point, you say learning is not the goal. You say
Education
living's the goal and learning is a side
No,
effect.
learning's the goal all the time. They learn 24/7. They learn all day, every day. It's kind of a belief in how children learn. It's the belief that children learn when they're internally motivated as opposed to somebody else's agenda. Education is not the goal of unschooling.
Okay, well, here's what I'm concerned about, and I'm really very open-minded about this at this point. And I have to tell you, I maybe should recuse myself because you all look at this from your own standpoint, and I hated school. I did. I hated every minute of every hour of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year I went to school. I did. I didn't like it. But if you had taken me out of traditional school and said, okay, you set your own pace, it's up to you, you learn what you want to learn, you choose, you do it, you say you let them watch as much TV as they want, eat as much as they want, no guidelines, no restrictions in any of those areas, no requirements. They want to watch TV all day instead of read a book, it's fine, because you just meet them where they are, right?
Yep.
Because it would be disrespectful not to. I'm telling you, I would be a vegetable now if my parents had said that to me. I had absolutely no thirst for knowledge. They couldn't hardly get me in school when they took me to school. I'd beat them home sometimes. So if you just said, okay, there, Phil, it's up to you, I'd have just sat there like a lump. Do you worry that by not providing structure and goals and some kind of timeline so they can experience themselves, master some things, meet some goals that they're not going to be ready to compete in the outside world?
Well, there's a lot of things I'd like to address with what you said. For one, they don't watch TV all day, and they don't eat junk all day because we don't have limits on it. It's really different when you don't have limits. Now a child may decide to watch TV all day if they generally have limits, and then they're taken away and told they could do whatever they want. But where TV is just one of many choices in our house, it's just like any other choice that they would make. They watch maybe an hour a day, if that. It's our job to provide them with nutritious food, and so we do that. We give them, we buy all the nutritious food, and they choose what they want to eat, but we still have some structure. It's not no structure at all. We have a rhythm to the day.
Well, but you said they set the structure. They decide what they want to do.
But we have to provide what those items are.
I'm not saying that you're being lazy or irresponsible about it, but here's my other concern. The rest of the world functions on a whole different agenda. And I've always thought you could break parenting up into like 3 huge stages. One, there's dependency. That's when they're totally dependent on you as infants. You have to feed them, clothe them, carry them, protect them in every possible way. Then second, you go into this preparatory phase, where as parents, you're preparing your children to function in the world, because the third stage is performance. So there's dependency, preparation, and then performance. Are they going to be prepared to compete with those who have dealt with that all of their growing up life when your children have not?
Well, we believe our children, they're in the real world by being homeschoolers or being educated at home. We're in the real world every day. It's kids in school that are in a building all day, kind of away from the real world.
But your kids don't work against deadline.
They have their own deadlines. They set their own goals. They do.
But the world doesn't do that. They don't hire you and say, okay, just do your best and check in at the end of the day. That's not the way it works. And you say your children are going to grow up and be entrepreneurs, but they may not.
They can do whatever they want, whatever their choices, whatever their goals are in life. We're there to facilitate that.
The question I'm raising, are Joe and Dana's children learning what they need to be able to function when they are on their own outside the nuclear family home? That's a question. I'm going to let them respond to that when we come back.
Did you want to nurse or just read? I'm going to breastfeed as long as Ivy needs to. And Ivy's almost 2 and still nursing. When she outgrows the need, we're done. Hold on. Attachment parenting is a natural approach to parenting, meeting the child's needs. The purpose of it is to strengthen emotional bonds. On a typical day, we spend 24 hours a day together.
As far as our sleeping arrangement goes, we did the crib thing. We let him cry for a minute. It just didn't work. We just felt wrong about it. So we brought him in bed with us. Their needs are met. They're not scared. They're not alone. We've had stints of Dakota and Devin both trying sleeping in their own beds, and it's all worked back into the family bed.
The sex life question comes up often with co-sleep, the sanctity of the marital bed, for example. Well, to us, it's not a material thing. That sanctity is anywhere we feel like having it. If somebody has sex only in their bed, I kind of feel bad for them.
To school or not to school? Now, that is the question that we're asking today. Now, Dana and her husband, Joe, are what are called unschoolers. In fact, they describe themselves as radical unschoolers, and they say it is cruel and disrespectful to put a child in school. Every kid in America is up cheering right now. They say education happens as a side effect of living life. One of the things that I really hated in school, among many things, as I've said, was history. I thought it was boring and irrelevant, and I said, those are a bunch of dead people, why do I care? And then I later learned that history tends to repeat itself, and that what happened yesteryear in many respects can predict what's going to happen next year. And so all of a sudden I had a real interest in that because I want to know what the markets were going to do, what things were going to happen. How are your kids going to learn those kind of things if they're not in a curriculum that presents that?
It's just like you said, you made the connection. You weren't interested in history.
I was 30.
Well, no, but you weren't. But once you found the interest that piqued your, oh wait, there's a reason I should know some of this, you embraced it, and you probably liked it more than you hated it.
I think it's internal motivation again, and I think schools feel as though they have all the knowledge of the world locked up in that building, but you can find anything you can learn in school, you could find somewhere else. You could find on the computer, you could find in books. There's so many resources. Devin knows as much as any child in school, but he's learned it in different ways. So unschooling isn't anti-school by any means. It's just alternatives to the way that children traditionally learn with somebody standing in front telling them facts.
Do they not need to learn to work in a scenario that is mainstream society?
They can learn those skills in other places, though, other than school. As far as teamwork, the children Devin played soccer with the town league. I mean, there's so many other scenarios where children are working with others. It just doesn't have to be in school.
Okay, well, I want to hear from some of the teachers in the crowd. Where's Etta?
I disagree. Obviously, I take a different point of view for a couple of reasons. First of all, the public school system is like a biological entity. It's a living thing. It changes, it adapts. You receive students that come from everywhere, the diversification, and I believe that the school accomplishes two things. First of all, it teaches comprehensive skills, cognitive skills. Also, it's the socialization, the fact that the boys and girls are learning how to get along with students from everywhere.
Do you worry about socialization being missing, and do you worry about them getting a very one point of view exposure from you parents?
Not at all. I feel like it's our job to give our children as much of the world as possible, not keep them in this little box of our ideals. We give them as much of the world as possible. We have homeschooling support groups that we get together with every week with other people, not just unschoolers. Other traditional homeschoolers as well. Our children are in group settings with people from all different backgrounds. So
I got to tell you, about 7th grade, my kids came in and threw down a math book and flipped open to page 5 and said, "Dad, can you help me with this?" I'm like, "No, I can't help you with that because I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know that. What, are you kidding me?"
And in your line of work, you don't need to know that. And in a lot of lines of work, you don't. But you didn't need to know what was on that page for this job. And we're assuming that if they need to know, I'm self-employed. I knew when I had my other job what I needed to do there. And when I became self-employed, I had to go and learn all those things that I did then, and it's just a self-taught, much more motivated and faster than a stigmatized school that looks down on the shunned or the people that can't keep up and praises and rewards the people that can. I mean, I lived through it. I've seen it. I was there.
That's what I mean. You are kind of anti-school.
No, I don't think we are, though, as much as...
It has to do with free choice, though. It has to do with putting a child in school against their will. I don't think it's true freedom to do that to somebody.
They're children.
That's right, and I think that in this culture we think we live on a different social plane. Why don't children deserve the same respect as adults in their choices?
Because they can't predict the consequences of their actions yet. They're children. I mean, see, children's brains aren't finished growing yet. They don't have an experience base. A child can't predict what happens if I do or don't do this. And so parents have to guide that. That's why you don't let children make those decisions. That's why they're not on an equal plane. That's why you don't treat children as equals, and there has to be a leadership role in the family structure, because they're just, it's like taking a puppy out that's never seen a car before and let them run into the street. They can't do that. They have to have some experiences first. And children have to have an opportunity to grow and learn from their experiences before they start making the decisions. Next, parents who say unschooling is controlling and communistic, and a mother who says school offers children a subpar education. We'll be right back. Today we're having a great school debate. Now, Paula and her husband Rick say that public schooling is better than unschooling or homeschooling, either one. But Carrie Lynn says that she is a hardcore homeschooler, and she secretly wishes for the complete collapse of the traditional school system. Tell me your position, Paula.
I understand when you say that, you know, they do get some socialization, but not near as much as children get when they get put on a bus in school every single day with other kids,
okay,
with
but
other
sometimes
teachers.
That socialization can include dodging bullets. It can include kids behind the gym with drugs and cigarettes and all kinds of influences that you don't want. So, I mean, there's more socialization, but is more necessarily better?
More socialization is better. I mean, the violence
But you recognize
right now,
there's a huge downside to it.
There's a huge downside to sending your kids to a fast food restaurant
Where
or
there's robberies
7-Eleven
or-
where they're after 9 o'clock.
or putting them in a car. Do you put your children in a car?
I do.
Over 3 million Americans are killed in the United States a year in a car.
What do you say about this?
Well, socialization, my kids are very busy, very involved with all ages of children. I mean, there's just not, as a matter of fact, more often than not, I'm saying let's take a break from all of this, because they are around kids most of the day, every day. And they're wonderful children, and they have deep, meaningful
Around
relationships.
kids that are also homeschooled. So it's like you've created an
Well,
environment.
not necessarily. If they're on a team at the
completely
Y or
disagree.
something like that,
Right,
there
our
are kids
kids-
from every walk of life, right?
Our kids are actually the only homeschooled kids on their teams.
There's sports, there's all kinds, and the fact that they have kids who are in public education, they're friends.
Because you take them to, community activities, right?
Totally.
It's not like they play for the unschooled Panthers.
No. Actually, we're the only unschoolers that we know in real life around where we live. Actually, most of our child's socialization is with schooled kids or homeschooled kids, private schooled kids.
Do you worry about things like Columbine and that sort of thing? Is that part of your decision?
Yeah, actually, that's what started my whole. Right after I gave birth to my first son, the first thing I saw on TV as I held him for the first time with Columbine happening live.
Your kids are going to grow up and make decisions about, like, my health care or make public policy that's going to affect me, everybody. So, yeah, I care about
Why is
what
that a
you're
bad
doing
thing,
with
though?
your kids.
How do you see that as being negative? Like, do you think my children are going to make bad choices for you?
Definitely in the unschooling department, yes. In the radical schooling, you're saying they learn. There's a difference between learning, just being out there learning, like I'm learning right now about a lot of things, and reading books and being book smart. There's a huge difference.
Our children are quite book smart.
Okay, hold on. Where's Kathy?
There's a proverb that says foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. So the first math lesson of homeschooling is when you put your kid in a classroom full of 30 other kids, you get 31 fools. Children are not the best socializers of each other. There needs to be some oversight, some supervision, some people presenting the principles that you're talking about.
Okay, but see, this has got to be a partnership between parents at home who are doing a lot of the value teaching, the morality teaching, the principle teaching, and the teacher who is at the classroom and is teaching the subject matter, the content. The school system contemplates a partnership between parents and teachers. And see, one of the things that concerns me that we haven't talked about is I believe that teaching is a science. These teachers that get their teaching certificates, they are availed of a tremendous amount of research, tried and proven teaching methods to present the greatest degree of clarity with regard to a particular subject matter. And I can tell you, as a parent that hasn't had that training, I just don't think that I would be as adept at imparting that information to the student as a teacher that has been trained in the educational science.
What I do...
Do you concern yourself about that? Do you concern yourself about that? That you're not as good a teacher as somebody that's been trained to be a teacher?
I don't consider myself my child's teacher. And also I think that teaching has to be a two-way street. If the child's not interested in what they're being taught, basically the person's standing in front of the room talking. It's like throwing marshmallows at somebody's head and calling it eating.
Well, I want to respond to that, but I have to take a break. Next, a mother who says her kids are safer at home with her gun than at public school with strangers who can show up with a gun. We'll be right back.
Breaking news right now, a hostage drama at a Colorado high school comes to a violent end.
The gunman who held 6 students hostage there in Colorado is dead. The unidentified man stormed onto that campus in Bailey, Colorado, and opened fire. There are reports the gunman shot one of his student hostages before he was killed by police. Parents and terrified children so glad to be alive there. Fears run very deep.
Principal was shot inside the school this morning by a 15-year-old student.
Hainstock entered Weston School carrying 2 guns that he had pried from a parent's gun locker at their home. Got to the principal, shot him 3 times, in the leg once, in the head once, and in the mid-torso.
A one-room schoolhouse in Amish country becomes a murder scene as a gunman seeking revenge opens fire.
We split them up, males and females. We let the males go.
With the little girls as hostages, the gunman barricades himself in the school.
He bound the female victims out by the blackboard and apparently executed them. It's terrible.
So it's not hard. I just can't believe it. Do you know anyone who goes to school? I will. Yes.
Well, today we're debating the best way to educate children. Now, the recent school shootings have parents worried about sending their children to school. There were 3 shootings in a week. Now, Rayanne and her husband, Steve, want me to weigh in on their great school debate. Rayanne says that schools aren't safe, and she is adamant that her children will get a better education if they're homeschooled. But Steve says, no way.
My husband, Steve, believes that our girls should go to a public school.
Rayanne feels that homeschooling's the best.
I believe that my husband, Steve, is wrong.
I disagree with Rayanne.
I do believe that public schools have become more dangerous. I'm not willing to put my girls in jeopardy and risk losing them to a monster that would come in and torture them or take their lives.
We live in Loveland, Colorado. Columbine is approximately 45 miles away, and Bailey is approximately 90 miles away. Bailey is the site of the most recent tragedy where Emily Keyes was shot down and murdered.
I don't believe that sending them to school is any safer than making them stay home. If you go to the bank, you can get robbed or shot there, or if you drive in your car, you can get hit. I think public schools are very safe.
The death of Emily Keyes hit home because I pictured my girls being 16 and in that situation, not being there to protect them and never seeing them get married or graduate college. It was very, very personal for me.
Rayanne is very protective of her kids. If she could, she'd wrap them up in bubble wrap and keep them here at home as long as possible.
No one is going to take better care of my girls than I will.
If they're here being homeschooled, the kids will not get socially adjusted. My kids will be missing out on prom, flirting, having their first crush on a teacher, this little stuff that helps you grow into a well-adjusted adult.
It's not like I would be keeping our girls a prisoner in our home.
There are gymnastics, dance classes, cheerleading, orchestra, sports, church, band, choir.
Rayanne's very smart. She probably could teach them, but she'd also have to learn a lot of it herself. It'd be like the blind leading the blind. She'd be learning it the day before. She'd be teaching it.
I really don't see a lot of drawbacks for me being the teacher for the girls. I'm familiar with planning and preparation of classes and grading. In my mind, I have made my decision.
I know I'm right, and I'm not going to lose because I'm very stubborn. I'm very passionate about kids going to public schools.
I'm very adamant about my stance on homeschooling.
Please, Dr. Phil, convince my wife that public schools are the only way to go.
Help me convince my husband that homeschooling is the right thing to do.
Okay. Now, is anything that we've discussed up here so far changed your view about it at all?
No.
No. Anything we discussed so far changed your view about it? You haven't heard anything?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming. So, are you concerned that if you unschool, that your children may not be competitive in the workaday, performance-oriented world?
I don't believe in the couple that was just up here. That is like way out of what our beliefs are. I do believe in a structured education, but I don't believe it has to be done in a public school system. I don't believe it has to be done in a public setting. I believe that I can do it with the tools that they have out there for homeschooling anymore. My girls, I believe, are going to get a better education than they possibly could in a public school.
Okay, what happens when you get to that age where peers kick in and all of a sudden they want to belong to a group of friends, they want to be around boys and girls all day, they want to be involved in the social process that is the community of life when you're at that age? What do you feel about that?
Everybody keeps talking about that, and it makes it sound like homeschooling. We lock our kids in a dungeon in the basement, and we throw books at them, and we'll feed them food and water every 3 or 4 hours. And that's not what homeschooling is about. We have churches, we have 4-H that my girls will be involved in. There's gymnastics, there's still sports that they participate in with the public school systems. There are so many things out there that my girls would be a part of, that the concept of them not being socialized is just laughable.
Well, actually, it's not laughable. There's a lot of research that suggests that what I said is, in fact, a problem after they hit puberty and they get into those middle school years. So it isn't laughable at all. In fact, it is substantiated by experience.
If the parents are not involved, if the parents don't take that extra step to have their children participate in these things.
Okay, and I've said, I don't think that's all positive that they're participating in what I described, but there does seem to be a developmental deficit from middle school years on for those that don't get involved in the school process itself. She's describing something here that sounds peachy keen. What's your problem with it?
Just about everything. I mean, you just can't lock your kids away and hide them out.
Oh, so that's who's been saying this. Because I didn't think it was me. I was wondering who's saying this.
You just can't do that. I mean, you have to let your kids experience life.
Are you concerned with what he's saying? And are you concerned that there's a point at which your child needs to be separate from mom and stand on their own and not have you in the room, not have your presence there, not have you overseeing and overshadowing everything?
With the way that the world is starting to come to and the circumstances that are putting our children in danger, I would rather be overprotective and have my girls be alive to resent me and be alive to say, I wish.
Okay, but it's not just that they're alive to resent you, it's just, are they able to navigate and negotiate the demands of life when you're not around? Because you're not going to always be there.
No, and there's so many support groups out there. There's other parents that do this. There's other communities that do this. It's not like they have to be under my thumb every single minute.
Are you overprotective?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and do you think that that does have backlash?
Oh,
potential?
heavens, yes.
To school or not to school, the debate continues. Now, Deanne, you're Deanne. Where do you come down on this?
We're unschoolers, and these are my 3 children, and if you ask them, I think they're very happy with their lives. They actually have been in school, and we took them out for several reasons. But I have to tell you that I guess I would have to give you a few examples of how learning occurs, but it's truly amazing.
Why is hi, is this your 6-year-old?
Yes.
Okay. Did she decide to come today?
Yes, she wanted to be with us.
Okay. And you thought that was appropriate?
I did, yes.
So am I your teacher today? Forget about her. She can get away with anything with that face. She's as cute as they come. She'll never have any problems. But are you concerned about any of the things you've heard here today about unschooling? And then you say you're not an unschooler, you're a homeschooler, and that's different.
From what I'm understanding, I mean, I do believe in structure and...
Okay, and you think no, you think
I would say the difference between unschooling and homeschooling is that unschooling, we're using the world as our classroom rather than our dining room table. We are out and about. My children, we have a geography club. They have a book group that they meet at the local bookstore once a month. They have a park day every Tuesday. They are involved in Destination Imagination, team competitions that other schools participate in, and they actually compete against school kids. They take music lessons. They have a teen jam session at our home. I open it up, our garage. It's sort of like School of Rock, if you guys have seen that movie in Jack Black. We do that.
Yeah, but that was a movie.
It's real life in our house.
And they didn't have to take SATs. If these guys have to take SATs to get into a university, how will they do?
I have no doubt that they will do awesome. There have been many unschooled kids that have never taken a test before and gone and taken the SAT and done quite well.
And that's kind of a matter of the difference between parents, right?
Probably. Actually, you really do have to expose your kids to a lot of things. For example, my kids, they love to read. Casey reads just several hours a day, and he loves to read books about history. And so he asked him anything about history. It's pretty darn amazing. They just got home from a huge trip with their grandparents. Every year, my mom and dad take them on a trip around the United States, and the goal is to get them to all 50 states. They've now been to 43. And they just returned. They went to Niagara Falls and drove all the way through New England states, Massachusetts.
Okay, I got it. So you're giving them a rich environment, and you're you're a history buff. You're the history buff?
Yeah.
Okay, who was the mayor of Istanbul in 1954? I don't know either. I have no idea. All right, next, a 26-year-old woman who says homeschooling made her socially retarded. Her story when we come back. Well, today it's the great school debate, and I'm really interested in knowing from the audience, how many of you, just by a show of hands, think that homeschooling is a legitimate alternative? Raise your hand. Well, that's maybe a third. How many of you think unschooling, where I don't know how you'd best differentiate it from homeschooling, less structure and the kids learn what they're ready to learn?
Child-directed learning.
Child-directed learning. How many of you think that's a viable alternative? Okay, that's maybe 5%. All right, how many of you think that the public schools or the traditional schools, while not perfect, is the most viable alternative? Okay, that's most everybody. Okay, and we all agree that it's not perfect. Well, my next guest, Nicole, says that she hated being homeschooled. She says that she lacked a social life and couldn't relate to other kids. And at the age of 26, she still feels like an outcast.
Dear Dr. Phil, my name is Nicole. I was homeschooled from the 2nd grade through all of high school, and it messed me up for a long time. I believe that homeschooling can have devastating effects on children. Parents have no idea how missing out on the public or private school experience can cause psychological and sociological damage. There is something about high school that validates you and gives you your rite of passage into the real world. I am now 26 years old, and I constantly hear stories from friends about proms, football games, cheerleading squads, and more. I always feel like an outcast because I can never relate. Homeschooling has made me feel socially retarded because I lived in a completely different world from everyone else. Even to this day, I think about going to college, but I still need to overcome my fear of stepping into a classroom. I want parents to think about the consequences of such a choice and not make a rash decision. And I wish they would listen to people like me who have been through it and hated it.
Did your parents make the efforts that this homeschooler and these unschoolers have described in terms of getting you exposed to others at like the 4-H and community activities and different sort of things?
I did have a part-time job, and I did have as a teenager, and I was very involved in my church. So there was some social things involved.
What did you miss most in looking back?
What I missed most was just the opportunity to learn with other kids, to maybe hate that one girl with the purple hair who thought she was all that, or maybe just to try out for a cheerleading squad, or to have the opportunity to grasp for something more than I am now, so I could just become more. And also the ability to learn how to negotiate with other people, because it's easy to get kids involved with things that they like. If your kids like acting, it's easy to get them involved in, say, community theater where they can interact with other kids who like the same thing. That's easy to do, but what about the other kids who don't have the same interests? Where do you find that bridge? How do you find common ground and connect with them?
So what do you think these guys are missing?
I don't even know where to start. I do think that they're missing a very wide social aspect. I do believe that they're missing the ability to choose on their own who their friends are, who their friends maybe won't be, how to have acquaintances, not so much have a...
There is a process. I mean, there is a process to the school situation that you wouldn't know otherwise. Rick, you're with California Department of Education, and you think that traditional is the best way to go. What do you think is the key element besides just the academics that's offered through the school system?
Well, I would say generally I do think it's the best choice, but I think it's important that parents find what's best for their kids. And what's important to know, unlike when I went to school or when our parents went to school, there's a lot of choice now in the public education systems. There's charter schools, there's magnet schools, and so there's a way for parents to find what's best for their child and do it within the public school system, which has a lot of rich advantages.
Yeah, so it's not an all or none if
That's
you
exactly
do go
right.
the traditional route. Will you ever put your children in school and let them decide if it feels right for them?
If they choose to.
All right, we'll be right back. The education of our children is obviously a serious subject. After all, they are the future of our world. So what is the best way to educate them? Whether it's homeschool, traditional school, or unschool, you have to select the form of education that best suits your children. And Rick, as you were just saying, there are options within the traditional school system. And in fact, the research seems to indicate that up to the middle school level, that there seems to be no disadvantage to homeschooling your children. But once they hit that point where they become very socially aware and socially sensitized, then some children, like you, can have an experience where they feel like they've actually missed something despite the parents' efforts to socialize them through activities in the community. If you'd like to weigh in on today's school debate, go to drphil.com. We'd love to hear from you on the message boards. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
Today on Dr. Phil.
Your personal life with Dusty is affecting our entire household right now.
Teens obsessed with love.
We got copies of your phone records here. You said she's texted you like 4,000 times. He called you twice.
Dusty, do you think I'm obsessed with you?
You two have not been intimate at all, and that's the truth.
Yes.
Do y'all believe that?
No.
No. You look down on him like you're better. You're not any better than him.
I mean business, Chloe. Our family needs help.
I hate you.
You are being rude and disrespectful. We're either going to have a dialogue,
I don't like this relationship.
Well, you don't have to like it, but I don't have to end it.
or we're going to have a war.
I'm gonna walk off, and it's over.
You understand I can't help you.
I don't care, then I'm done.
I know things are tough out there, but we can do this. If it matters to you, that's what I want to talk about.
10 seconds to air.
Well, thank you. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Ready, camera 5.
Take track.
Go, Dr. Phil. Let's do it. Teens seem so much more obsessed with love than ever before. Now, many parents are concerned about the extreme measures their daughters are taking to get and keep a boyfriend. Is it the music that speaks of love and commitments, like Taylor Swift's Baby, You Belong to Me, or Justin's One Less Lonely Girl? He's 15. Now, we conducted our own survey on drphil.com. We asked teen girls if they've ever gone to extremes to keep a boyfriend. 45% said yes. 65% said they had sex when they didn't want to. 8% said they tried drugs because he pressured them. 22% said they actually gave the guy money. Now, our first guests are parents struggling with a teenage daughter they say is obsessed with a boyfriend that they can't stand.
She's thrown basketball away. That's something that she likes. She could be 3 times as far as she is now with it.
I think she's obsessed with the chase of Dusty. I will find that she's called him 20 times in 3 hours.
My parents don't even give him a chance at all. I have no idea what he's done. They just think he's a loser.
I don't think he works. She definitely steals money for Dusty.
The money that was stolen was more for me because I gave him my check money.
This is beyond me. I don't understand why a girl would give her hard-earned money over.
No, we should go away. I don't need this. I don't need these kind of people in my life. It's hard enough.
I won't stop talking to him.
The harder we press to get him away from us, we feel that the harder she's pressing to keep him with her. The relationship is toxic.
Okay, what's your biggest concern?
That she could find herself in jail one day or pregnant with a person like this. We have not welcomed Dusty into our home.
Because you haven't given him a chance. What has he done wrong?
Well, first of all, when you first told me about Dusty, he had a girlfriend. And you told me he was cheating on his girlfriend for you and to be with you.
First of all, I never once said that, so don't put words in my mouth.
Well, I remember it differently, and I remember not feeling good about it. And when he came to the house for the very first time, I was uncomfortable, and I think he was uncomfortable.
Because you looked down on him.
I wasn't happy that he had a girlfriend and that he was over our house.
You didn't even know that at first, Mom. You looked down on him like he's some, like you're better. You're not any better than him.
Okay, but now wait a minute. Are you being fair here? Do you expect someday to have children?
Yeah.
You might have a daughter. Okay, are you going to want to have some influence over who she goes with? I mean, be honest. If you have a valid position and you're right in this, then you're not going to have to spin your answers or try to figure out how to waffle around what I'm asking. You're just going to be honest, and the answers will lead us to whatever conclusion they lead us to. If you had a daughter, are you going to want some say in who she dates? Or are you just going to let whoever pulls up at the curb pull up and say, have a good time?
No, I mean, I'm going to care who she dates, but if she really likes him and if I can't control her whole life.
Okay, how old were you when you started to see him?
16.
16? Okay, how old were you when you first had sex with him? How long had you been going with him?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Look, if the answers are okay, then you don't have any problem answering them. The only reason you're going to have trouble answering a question is because you know that it is non-credible. So you're wanting to hide something, which tells me clearly that you know it's wrong. Have you had confrontations with Dusty?
Like twice.
Okay.
Once, first time didn't go over so well.
What happened?
I just saw him at a basketball game, went up to him. Right away, he was extremely rude to me, extremely disrespectful, which since he has apologized.
One of the very last basketball games that Dusty came to, he wound up following Chloe to a Walmart where she cashed her check and handed him half of her paycheck. So that's why when we saw him again, we thought, oh, he's here for money again.
Okay, are you giving him money?
Occasionally I have. It's not like an everyday thing. Oh, I give Dusty money. That's what I do. I go to work to pay Dusty. No.
Have you stolen money from your family?
Yes.
How much have you stolen?
Probably $1,000.
Probably $1,000? You haven't stolen $3,000?
No.
And you didn't steal the $10,000
No.
that was missing from the desk in the barn?
No.
Okay, do you think she did?
I definitely think that she did.
First of all, the barn is not locked. Who keeps that much money in a desk in a barn and then blames it on me?
Chloe was there for an extremely short period of time.
I would have just known about this money. What would I possibly
You
do
were on the
with that
phone
much
with
money?
Mom when I explained it to her.
Did you take the $10,000?
No.
And you said you'll take a polygraph to prove that?
Yes.
Because I can arrange that for you, and then that'll be off the table
That would
for
be
you.
fine.
Yes.
That would be nice.
You,
to
you
have.
would like to know that?
Why not? Right.
All right. You are stealing money from your family. Why are you doing that?
They like to control how much money I get, how they take my checks so I don't have money. I get $200 a month from this trust fund. I haven't seen it in, I don't even know how long.
And I can explain that. It went to pay for her car and her taxes and license plates, and I have it all tallied up on a paper. It's legitimate. I'm not using your money for myself.
All right, good, bad, or indifferent, are you obsessed with this Dusty guy?
No.
You're not?
No.
We got copies of your phone records here. I've highlighted all of your contacts with him. This is in 1 month, and I think the number of contacts you had with him was 239 times. He says that he's received text messages from you as many as 3,000 in a month. And I also checked to see how many times he got in touch with you. He called you twice. Does that seem obsessive to you when you kind of see it in print? Because this isn't a matter of opinion, this is a matter of reality.
No, I'm not obsessed with him.
Do you think he thinks you are?
I don't know, ask him.
Well, we'll do that. I got to take a break, and then I'm going to ask Chloe's boyfriend some questions as well about the stolen money that he allegedly accepted, about the paychecks she says that she gives him, and I'm going to ask if he thinks she is obsessed with him. We'll be right back. Well, we're talking with Dean and Lana, who feel their teenage daughter is obsessed with her boyfriend, Dusty. Let's see what he has to say about this relationship, and then we'll add him to the conversation.
I tell her all the time, like, I don't understand why you like me so much, but it's gotta, like, chill. She wants to be with me really bad, but I can't do that right now.
I definitely don't think he would say I'm obsessed.
She always just wants to know what I'm doing. She texts me, like, at least 150 times a day. I think I had, like, a good 4,000 messages from last month. There's a lot of times where I've tried not to talk to her, and, like, she just pops up. Like, I got my number changed like 4 times because of Chloe.
So, I mean, he's definitely not, like, keeping me back from anything at all. I know who he is, I know what he does, and I just don't think he's bad for me.
I'm not the best guy. I don't like her as a girlfriend. You know, I want her to not be so focused on me. Try to find someone else even. She just, like, wants to be with me really bad, and I don't.
All right, Dusty, what do you think about all of this?
She didn't steal $10,000 from me, I know that.
You're how old?
19.
19? And you started dating her when she was 16?
I'm not dating her.
I'm sorry?
I'm not dating her.
Well...
And I wasn't dating her.
I've never once said we're dating. I don't know why everyone keeps saying he's my boyfriend.
We've dated.
What is he?
We're just talking. He's not anything.
You think she's over-involved with you, though? You said she's texted you like 4,000 times last month, that you've changed your number 4 times to try to keep from engaging with her.
Last year, I didn't want to talk to her. You know, when I was, I had a girlfriend. She just had a big crush on me when I was working with her, and then it turned into something else.
But, and you say that you've not had unprotected sex with her, so you're not afraid she's going to get pregnant, correct?
I've never had sex with her.
You've never had sex with her?
Correct.
So you two have not been intimate at all, and that's the truth?
Yes.
Okay, is that the truth? All right, and do y'all believe that?
No.
No.
What does us having sex have to do with anything? Can you answer that?
I can. Would you like me to answer it?
Sure.
These are your parents, okay, and it's their job, whether you accept that role or not, it's their job to keep you safe and to keep you moving forward in your life and to get you through phases where you don't make the best decisions. I'm sorry? Everybody keeps saying things, and when I ask you what you say, you don't want to own it. You say it, but you don't want to own it. What did you say?
I told her not to look at me.
Okay, she told you not to look at her. Okay, I'm
it
just saying.
happens a lot.
Their job is to...
Don't try and sit here like, oh, you're so good. No, you're not, okay? You wonder why I hate you? I hate you.
I'm not here to argue with you, Chloe.
Do you hate your mother?
Yes.
Why do you hate her?
She is a bitch.
And why?
Flat out bitch.
Why? What does she do? I mean...
Look at her right now. Oh. Like...
What would you like me to do?
Chloe, she's upset.
I don't care
I
if
mean
she's
business.
upset.
I'm here for, I mean business, Chloe. We
Good
need help.
for you, Mom.
Our family needs help. Our home is toxic.
I'll second that, too.
I don't believe Chloe thinks
you.
that we're here to protect her with her actions. I mean, it doesn't matter what we say. She wants
Disregards everything.
no part.
Your personal life with Dusty is affecting our entire household right now. Now, you 2 years ago were a totally different person.
No, I wasn't.
I remember it differently.
What do you want to talk about?
How we don't get along. It's not what me and Dusty do together. Like...
Are you trying to suggest that you are not over involved with this person?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so if he gets a girlfriend and falls in love and heads on down the road, you're fine with that?
No. I don't think he's planning on doing that.
But you've told us that she's certainly free to date other people, as are you, and that you think that would be a good thing, right?
Correct. Correct.
So is that your understanding or not your understanding?
I didn't think that.
I get the feeling that you're wanting to calm this down with her. Is that true, or am I reading this wrong?
That's true.
We've got a lot more to discuss when we come back. Ask teen girls this when they're in relationships that I'm trying to profile and get a sense of. Do you cry often about this relationship?
I used to, I mean, not anymore.
You're going to graduate soon, right? You want to be out of the house?
Yeah.
Like big time out of there? Would it suit you if you never had contact with these people again?
Yes.
Is that because you're mad right now and so it's like, get out of my life, don't ever talk to me again, or is that really how you feel?
That's how I feel.
And that's because they're doing what that you don't like? You said you didn't want to talk about Dusty. Let's talk about this relationship. What are they doing that they need to change so you'll feel better?
They take my car, they take my phone. For what? You think I can't get another phone? You think he can't come see me? Why? We've obviously been talking for 1.5 years and it hasn't stopped, so why?
How about because we're your parents? And if we want to take your phone, your car, computer privileges, we will.
We have that right, Chloe.
Considering I paid for my phone, I paid for my car, those are mine.
But
And
the
we're proud of you,
privileges,
Chloe. You did.
they're
You did pay
privileges,
for it.
though, Chloe.
And what am I doing so wrong? Talking to him. That's wrong?
You're giving him money. You stole $1,000 from your uncle.
Before that even took place, it's wrong that I text him. It's wrong that I see
Chloe,
him.
Were we at dinner when we got called from you frantically saying you were being attacked by his ex-girlfriend and we had to come to the scene? And we
How
had to-
long ago was that,
We
Mom?
had to go to the police station and file reports all evening.
Hey, Mom, how long ago was that?
It doesn't even matter to
No,
me.
how long ago was that?
Maybe about a year. And who's to
Okay.
say that that kind of thing couldn't start happening again?
Is he with her?
I don't know if he's. I don't know what he does. That's why I don't like this relationship. I don't think.
Well, you
that-
don't have to like it, but I don't have to end it.
Have you seen each other since you got here?
No.
Okay, you didn't walk over to her hotel last night and see her?
No.
Pardon me?
No.
You didn't walk all the way to her hotel and see her?
No.
Is that true or false?
He did not walk over. I don't.
Did you see him last night?
No. For the 5th time, no.
All right, well, here's the thing that you've got to understand. These people are your parents. They're legally responsible for you. They are entitled to have a dialogue. And what I'm trying to do is get people to tell me the truth. Because if I get the truth on the table, if I get the cards on the table, then we can put some boundaries around these things. She's not 2.
Right.
She should be able to do the things that someone her age should be able to do, so long as they fit certain criteria from you guys. But I think you avoid confrontation at all cost. But once you have one, you don't lose. I mean, if she wants to put it on that level, then that's what you have to do. And I'm trying to find out who's telling me the truth and who's not. Okay, Alex is a producer that's running this show. You're telling me something different than these guys are telling me.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Tell me, what is it?
Well, when we were upstairs in the dressing room, I was told that Dusty did walk over to Chloe's hotel last night because the taxi wouldn't accept credit cards, so he didn't have any cash, so he walked over.
Okay,
Quite a distance, too.
And who told you that?
Chloe did this morning.
Okay. are you lying to him or are you lying to me?
To him. I'm gonna walk off, and it's over.
Okay, but you understand that you're not telling the truth, and I can't help you.
I don't care. Then I'm done.
Okay, then we're going to continue this conversation without Chloe when we come back. All right, I'm here talking with Dean and Lana about their teenage daughter and their concerns about her relationship with what she calls a friend, what they call a boyfriend. Now, she was just here. If you just tuned in, there is an empty chair here because she walked off. Now, let me tell you, I think when people run out of answers and excuses, then they just run. I asked her some very pointed questions that she didn't have any answers to. I think, as you do, that she's lying about this. And when that happens, then, she goes away. And I can't help somebody if they're not willing to tell me the truth. Now, that means I don't think you're telling me the truth. I think you're covering for her, and I understand you being supportive of her. You're back.
No kidding.
All right, have a seat. I'll get to you in a minute. You may not like Dusty. You say you don't really know him, but I don't think this is the evil guy here. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that I've been told by you and others that you choose to do in your life right now, but I think if it wasn't Dusty, it would be somebody else.
I've said that.
And I
over
actually
and over.
think that Dusty has tried to be honest with Chloe. I think he's tried to be straight up with her. Why are you back here?
Because I'm not gonna let my mom sit here and talk like she does all the time.
All right, so why
Yeah, look at him, Mom.
are you telling me the truth, or are you not telling me the truth about what happened last night?
Is that relevant to our situation
It
and
is
why we don't get
relevant.
along? No, it's not, so I'm not answering.
It is relevant
No, it's
because
not.
it tells me that whether or not we're having an honest conversation or whether we're not.
That I did not say in any interviews. I didn't say it doesn't. That's not on the show. I'm sorry. Do you guys just want your ratings to go up or something? My sex life has nothing to do with this.
You can't be that arrogant.
So what'd you and Dad do last night, Mom?
Sleep.
Really?
Chloe, I don't have to answer your questions like that. You're being extremely rude.
Well,
and disrespectful. And this is why we're here.
Did you agree to come on the show?
Actually, I'll tell you why I agreed, if you would like to know.
Yes, I would.
Mom called my friend and said if I didn't go on the show, then she was going to have my uncle press charges.
No,
That's not what happened, Chloe.
No, it is.
No, it's
Chloe,
not
that's
what
your
happened.
interpretation
Your
of it.
friend
It's
told
not
you
true.
that, but she
No,
also...
you were on speakerphone. I heard you.
No, Chloe, I said, listen, we have an opportunity to go on the Dr. Phil
That's
show.
not what you said.
And I think this would be good for us. I said, because the alternatives, Andy has the potential to go to the police station and report that you stole money from him.
That's
I
not
said, I
how
don't
you said
think...
it.
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
Well, that's not what you said.
Chloe, we've asked you a bunch of times throughout the process. There's a
Yeah,
lot
not
going
thinking it was going to turn into this. But you know what? It did.
on. Okay.
We've got to take a break, but we're going to be right back and talk about this some more. You can't possibly believe that your attitude of defiance towards your parents, telling them that you're going to do what you want, any way that you want, any time that you want, that they can take your phone, you'll get another one. They can tell you you're not going to talk to him, you're going to talk to them. They can tell you whatever.
Because
you're
what
gonna
am I
want.
doing?
You can't possibly believe that's a reasonable approach to take as a teenager
Because I
living in
haven't
a
done
family.
anything horribly that my phone should be taken away, my car. Like, what am I doing? I don't go do drugs. I don't get in trouble. Like,
you drove your car to Walmart.
You know, I'm talking.
Cashed your check and gave it to him. Okay, now,
So you take
I don't
my
want you
phone?
to have your car if that's the type of things you're going to be doing with it.
You know, I have a job. I have 2 jobs. I play basketball. My grades this year have been better than any other year.
I know
And
they
you
are.
I'm talking to him.
Chloe, and that's what we don't want to see thrown away, okay?
Okay, well, let me ask something. Why are you accepting money from her?
I'm not.
You're not taking money from her?
No.
So she's lying about giving you money?
No, she gave me money when I worked with her last year because she helped me out with a court case that she kind of started.
Are you forgetting about the money that you dropped back in our mailbox about a month ago because we found that she gave some to you? And you brought us $60 back of the 100?
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
You say you've given him about 1,000. And your parents are concerned that you're, calling some guy 239 times, texting him several thousand times. He's changing his number to avoid contact, and you're giving him money. They're concerned about that. You would be concerned about that if you were a parent, Chloe. If you were a parent, you would be concerned about that. And I think what you want to do here is you want to decide that we're either going to have a dialogue or we're going to have a war. And if you have a dialogue, then you guys need to start talking about what you think is reasonable, what you think the expectations are. Okay. You have to acknowledge their position of authority at this point. It doesn't mean you agree with it, but you can't just say, I'm going to do what I want, whether you like it or whether you don't. You will be able to negotiate for a lot more than you will get by defiance. Or you can be completely defiant, then they're going to become very controlling and use whatever position they have to assert their will. And you will lose.
You can't have a discussion with them because no matter what I do, if I talk to him, that's all they care about. I'm still talking to Dusty, so I can't do anything.
Right? That may be something
that's all it is.
You need to negotiate. But if you're stealing money from your family, if you're working and giving money to anybody, if you are isolating away from them into a relationship at a very young age, if you weren't concerned about it, I would tell you you are asleep at the switch. You should be concerned about that. That is not unreasonable in any way whatsoever. And at 17, I don't expect that to be glaringly clear to you. Do you think I have any reason to not want you to be happy in your life? We just met. I told my kids growing up, you got 2 jobs, get an education and have a really good time. That's my philosophy. That's what I think you need to do. I think you need to get your education and have a ton of fun while you're doing it. Seriously.
That's what I want.
Kids are supposed to be happy. Kids are supposed to have joy, so long as they're on this side of hurtful or self-destructive.
That's right.
That's my advice to your parents. You can't possibly have a problem with that. Do you?
No.
Are you saying that you are so invested in this relationship with somebody that says you're over-invested compared to him, that he doesn't say you're dating, he doesn't tell people about it, you just are friends, you just talk to each other? Are you willing to alienate your entire family over that?
It's not just him, it's not just recently. We've never gotten along. It's not, I don't like them.
True.
No, it's not untrue, Mom.
We've always gotten along.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. We have never gotten along.
I remember it differently.
Times are getting a lot tougher starting at around 13.
9th grade is when it started, in my opinion. That's when I think our relationship has been very rocky. Prior to that, I would say no, that I thought we had a good relationship. People would say you're, maybe too close with her. You're her mother. That's what I got accused of. It's true.
No, it's not true at all.
Yes,
what
it's
is the truth?
True.
No.
What is the truth?
She claims I want to be like her. She sits here like a teenager. She dresses like me. She has a Facebook. She has a BlackBerry. She writes comments on my Facebook about Dusty that are extremely rude. Like, I had to block her because it was ridiculous. I put him as my friend, and she commented on it. Oh, good, you guys can go on welfare together too.
I mean, I'm so irritated with this that I don't even know
Well,
what
first of all,
to
she
do.
can't tell you, Chloe.
You refer to him as a loser,
She
okay?
almost, she did kind of lure
Dusty
herself.
came over the other night to talk. Can I talk? To talk to my dad. As he walks in the door, my brother goes, "Oh, hi, Dusty," and my sister says hi. And then I'm like, "Mom, are you gonna say hi?" And she's like, "Hi." And then my brother whispers over in her ear and says, "Oh, is that the loser?" You have your 4-year-old son calling him a loser.
have
She did
him
not
doing
make
that.
Mason say that,
How
Chloe.
would he not know, Mom? Like,
The children
no,
are
he
being
doesn't-
affected
A 4-year-old
by
doesn't think
this.
he's a loser, okay? It's the fact that you say it so many times that
No,
he
that's
knows.
not true.
Yes. Oh, I saw that loser you talked to.
Yes, and
Okay,
I've said that.
so how
I've
do you
said
not
that very
think-
clear. And the truth
Yeah.
is,
So
the
how do you not-
relationship between you and Mom is irrelevant of Dusty. This has been building up for years. This has been going on since 12. We're not allowed to tell you anything. We have zero authority
Because
against
you
you.
think you know everything, Dad. You really do.
I'm asking for some respect in my home.
That's all we want.
I'm
Really.
asking for
Really.
some respect.
I'm trying to talk to you in an honest and open way, and you are being rude and disrespectful to everybody involved. And somehow you must think that is a becoming trait that empowers you in some way, but the truth is these people love you and care about you.
I don't know what to do, Chloe. You don't respond to us. You just told me you hated me.
Because I do. This is why.
Well, what are we supposed to
Everyone
do?
thinks you're crazy, Mom. Everyone. Our whole family.
Chloe, nobody in our whole family lives in our home. Nobody in our whole family
And they all
has
think
a
you're
clue.
crazy. They
Has-
do.
I know what's in my heart. I know that when I had you, that I tried my hardest with you all my life as a young mother, and you're giving me no credit.
Nor
You
is
treat me like
anyone
I'm
else.
2 years old, okay? I'm 17. I'm going to be an adult next year. So
Yes, I know.
Do you not like your dad either?
No, I mean, I'd say I listen to him more than my mom because my mom is just annoying. Like, laugh all you want. Like, it's not funny.
So what do you want to happen in the next 3 months?
There would be no problem if they would give him a chance. It's not, if I thought he was really ruining my life, I wouldn't be with him. I wouldn't. Okay, I stole money. Does that make him a bad person for me? Does that make us not good together?
I don't really think you need to have a relationship with anybody at this point.
If they give him a chance, that will solve your problem.
Yes. We're not dating. Like, why do you, we're not.
All right. Do you want a chance?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
All right. You guys can say she stole money until your tongue falls off and gave it to me. She didn't. Not 1,000. You know, she gave me last year. So, you know, do that. That ass that went on that screen right there that said that was personal. So, you know, yes. Yeah, I did walk over there. Yeah, I did. 6 miles. It was a long walk.
I'm sorry?
It was a long walk. I did walk over there. Maybe if you paid attention to your kids more when she was younger, she wouldn't be like this. Like look at Madeline and Mason. Look at them. They're always in 80% of their lives as a babysitter.
Hey, Dusty, just to let you know, those kids got it made, and so did Chloe.
They got it made with a babysitter.
On how much time we were able, with our careers, to put in with these
for 12
kids.
years. She got a lot of attention.
I know you're loving this right now, but like, look at your daughter.
I'm not loving this at all right now, Dusty.
You're loving this right now.
You are.
You gotta
You're loving
be kidding
this
me.
right now. Like, I can give a what you guys think. You guys can say she's giving money for every day of her life. She hasn't. She helped me once or twice. When I ran out of gas, she's helped me too.
Chloe,
Okay, well, first off, I want you to clean up your mouth because you've got people in the room here that's rude. So,
Sorry, guys.
she said she gave you $1,000.
No, she paid at least $300 to a court case that she started. That was her fault.
You two need to get your stories together because he tells us you've texted him 4,000 times in a month.
Okay, Dusty, do you think I'm obsessed with you?
I think you need to not focus so much on me anymore.
Isn't that what we agreed on though already?
Yes. Like I said, like I told you, she's in school, I'm not. I screwed up my life. I don't want her to screw up her life. I'm not a good person for her right now. And, you know, I want you to be like my sister. All right, you could be the next best scoring basketball player through our school.
She did have a dream, no question, to
She
go
still
play a
has a
place
dream.
like Duke. And she could have, and she still can. That's why I'm on top of this, Dusty. I mean,
But you don't
This
think
girl's
that,
got dreams.
you don't think that you're the best fit for her.
No.
And do you agree with that?
Not right now. I mean, he apparently likes me for him to come here. Am I right?
I've given you support.
I mean, in the future, do you want to be with me or no? Or do you just want to end it? End us talking.
I just want you to focus on school and
I know,
basketball.
and we agreed on this. Me and Dusty sat down, we had to talk that now it's not the right time for us to be dating, and so we're talking. We're not dating. We're not as serious as everyone makes it out to be. I mean,
I don't have a problem with you talking. I have a problem with you giving him money that's stolen money. I have a problem with you giving him your paycheck.
I think Dusty is throwing rocks at them and the show and all of that, but I think you'll agree that I've treated you with dignity and respect.
Yeah,
While
they're throwing rocks at me.
Well, I
I'm throwing
understand
rocks
that.
back.
No, I understand that, but I haven't thrown any rocks at you.
I know. We're cool. I mean,
Well, I do. I try to treat everyone with dignity and respect, and I've treated you with dignity and respect. You guys have some issues between you, but I think you need to understand this isn't about him. And he's telling you and me and Chloe that, look, I want you to be like my sister here. I want you to do good things.
He said his sister playing
No,
basketball.
I know that she was successful in her, going about her sports. He wants to see you do well in that, and that he's saying he doesn't think he's right for her at this point. This guy is not your problem here.
Right.
This is not the issue.
When I go home, you're still going to take my phone away again. I'm still not going to be
Chloe,
able to talk to him.
You don't lose, you're fooling yourself. You're thinking that you talk to Dusty, we take your phone. You talk to Dusty, we take your car.
You do. You say you never want to see me
Chloe.
with him. They made me sign an agreement saying, I'll give you this phone back, but you can't talk to Dusty. And I signed it. And then they found out I was talking to Dusty and they took it away.
Well, Chloe, the police had come in our driveway one day because he says you were calling him too much. They pulled in to tell us that, your daughter is on the phone harassing him.
That's correct.
And
he had a
so I have
girlfriend,
reason to try to keep you off
And this
of the
is still
phone.
when he had a girlfriend? Okay, I know I'm going to go home and I'm still not going to be allowed to see him. It's not like, oh, hey, can Dusty come over? You're going to be like, no. What does he do so wrong? Why can't he come over?
I don't like the drama that has come from your
But it
relationship with
hasn't,
Dusty.
okay? He has no girlfriend.
Okay, let's get over the Dusty thing, because I'm telling you right now,
That's the
Dusty
problem,
is
Dad.
irrelevant of your actions around our home.
More with this family when we come back. I don't care if you're 16, 19, 29, 39. The chemistry's either there or it's not. And, I think Dusty's being very honest in saying, I care for her a lot. I support her, but this isn't the one. So I can tell you, from doing this for decades, this too shall pass. Sometimes the philosophy for parenting is containment. I want to get these kids to the next level, safe, not pregnant, not injured, not in jail, not all the things that can disrupt. You get to that next level. But there is a tremendous amount of bitterness going on here, and I think this is a good excuse for it, but I don't think this is what it's about.
I agree with you.
And I think you've got to be willing to sit down with some professional help and have an ongoing dialogue of resolving that resentment, resolving that bitterness towards one another. You don't want this relationship to be damaged for the rest of your life, do you?
No.
I mean, do you want to get along with your mother?
Yeah.
Is that hard for you to say?
I absolutely hate her right now, so
Are you willing to sit down with her and work on this?
yeah, but she always thinks she does nothing wrong. It's always me.
I just try to explain myself, and she doesn't accept the
That's
answer.
why I don't want you doing this around the kitchen table. That's why I
Right.
want you to doing
Okay.
this with professional facilitation.
Yeah, not send me off somewhere like they were going to do.
Well, but that's where you lose. If you say, we're just going to throw down the hoe handle by God and see who's running things, you will lose because they will. And they can. I would rather have a child safe in jail than at risk on the street.
I agree.
And so if the only way to keep a child from self-destructing is to have them in four walls with 24/7 monitoring, then that's what you have to do. But if she says, no, I don't want that kind of confrontation, I'm willing to sit down and work through this, then that's what you need to do. If you choose to break the law and steal from your family, if you choose to run away, if you choose to be defiant and not participate in the process, then you have to do what you have to do to get her through to the point where she's responsible for herself. And if that means jail, it means jail. If it means putting her somewhere that she cannot leave, from an institutional school, whatever, then you do what you have to do. But you're saying that you don't want to precipitate that, you want to talk about this, you're willing to sit down and deal with this in an adult manner, true? And you're saying you will. So that's what needs to happen here.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. I want to thank all of our guests today. And listen, I get that when you're dealing with teens and rebellious teens and angry teens, they do a lot more talking sometimes than they do listening. And sometimes they don't talk at all, but they don't improve the listening. And you got to stay hooked up. You just don't quit. Going to have information on drphil.com about how to open that dialogue with your kids. But let me tell you, you should talk to your kids about things that don't matter. That way you got the line of communication open when it's time to talk about things that do. Think about that. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.
When I get home, I plan on not talking to my parents, that's for sure. I'll still talk to Dusty.
There's this bitterness and hatred. She doesn't hate you. She doesn't hate you,
I know
of
she
course.
doesn't.
But my fear is that she gets pregnant because that is the way to lock him in. Dusty wants out of this. I mean, even with her sitting there in front of him, he's saying, he's moonwalking out of this. I'm not saying he's not a threat, but I'm saying don't make that the battleground, and that's what the battleground is in her view.
In her view,
I
okay.
know it's not in y'all's view,
Right.
Okay.
but it is in hers. You say, go do what you want to do, and he's saying, I don't want to do it.
Okay.
So I'm saying, take away her cause. Then she becomes a rebel without a cause.
Okay.
I jump in the bathtub, it's time to get all clean. I'll be the cleanest kid you've ever seen. The soap and the bubbles are filling up the tub, so I'll jump in the water and scrub, scrub, scrub. Wash my hair, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my hair, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my hair, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my hair. Now it's time to wash my face so nice and bright. The bubbles are tickling, but I feel alright. Scrub it up my cheeks, my nose, my chin, making sure I'm sparkling from within. Wash my face, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my face, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my face, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my face. Let's wash our arms and hands, it's really fun. I'm dancing in the tub, oh look, we're almost done. Bubbles everywhere, I'll make them fly. I'll be squeaky clean and ready to dry. Wash my arms, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my arms, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my arms, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my arms. Now for my knees and toes, let's get them scrubbed. The bubbles are popping, they make a fun hubbub. I'm splashing and laughing, it's such a blast. Bath time is the best, let's make it last. Wash my knees, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my knees, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my knees, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my knees. Wash my toes, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my toes, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my toes, do-do-do-do-do. Wash my toes. Now I'm all clean from head to toe. Time to hop out, let's dry off and go. The bubbles were fun, I'll see you next time for another scrub-a-dub in this bathtub rhyme.
bedroom doors.
This is my house, and I've been kicked out of the house multiple times.
My parents kicked me out of the house 4 months ago, and I haven't been able to return home. My parents really hurt me when they decided to kick me out. I thought home is where the heart is, and home is where you want to be. And apparently they don't want me there. I was 17 years old. I felt like I was thrown out like trash. I'm in my old bedroom. This is the first time I've been allowed to come back into the house, and it's because I'm leaving for the show tomorrow. My parents are constantly saying that they need to protect themselves and that I am a threat to them. I'm upstairs and they have decided to put locks on all the doors. They have put locks on their doors, making me feel as if I'm a criminal. If they want a criminal, I'll give them a criminal. My mom said that she wished she would have thought more about this adoption. When I heard that, I felt rejected, unloved. I am beyond sick and tired of all this. My parents have lied to me, betrayed my trust, and have totally abandoned me. My parents look at me as damaged goods and that they would give me back if they got the chance.
Okay, wow, that's a lot for a young girl to put up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very overwhelming.
So tell me, you were adopted at birth, right?
Yes.
So when was the first time you perceived that there was...
Kare Ratan, তোর সাহেব দুলেবের খবর কি?
খবর তো আপনিও যা জানেন আমিও তাই জানি, কিন্তু এখনো কিছু বোঝা যাচ্ছে না।
তোর দুলেবার সতীন বউ কি চলে গেছে?
না জানি তো, রাত্রিবেলা চাচির সাথে ঘুমাইছিল। আচ্ছা দুলে ভাই, আপনার কাছে কি মনে হয় ঘটনা কি সত্যি?
ঘটনা সত্যি না হলে পরে তোর সাহেব দুলেভাই ঘরের থেকে বাইরে হচ্ছে না কিসের জন্য?
ঠিকই তো, এটা তো আমার মাথায় আসে নাই। হ্যাঁ, ওই মহিলা বাড়িতে আসার পর থেকে ছোট দুলাভাই ঘর থেকে বের হচ্ছে না।
বাইর হবি কেবা করে? বাইর হলি পরেই তো তার আসল চিটারি ধরা পড়ে যাবে না। এতদিন আমাদের কি কম অপমান করেছে নাকি? এখন দেখে আল্লাহ কিভাবে বিচার করে।
খুব খুশি আছেন মনে হয় দুলে ভাই? আমাকে সর্বনাশ হলে আপনার যে ভালো থাকে সেটা তো জানি।
তোমাদের আবার কিসের সর্বনাশ হয়েছে? তোমার স্বামী তো সাহেব মানুষ, তার কাছে তো সবকিছু নস্যি, সে ইচ্ছে করলে সবকিছু করে পারে। এবারে মানুষজন একটু হজম করে দিবে পারে, কইলো না?
পারি তো, সেজন্যই তো আপনারা সকলে মিলে তার বিরুদ্ধে ষড়যন্ত্র করে এসব করতেছেন। এখন যেমন রতনের সাথে ষড়যন্ত্র করতেছেন।
ছোট বাবা কি করছেন? আমি আবার কেবা করে ষড়যন্ত্র করলাম?
চুপ করে থাক। কি মনে করছু হাতি পাকে পড়েছে? কোনেকার এক মহিলাকে সাজায় নিয়ে এসে তাক দিয়ে তোরা কোয়াবু যে সে আলমগীর হোসেনের বউ, আর আলমগীর হোসেন বিয়ে সেটা মাইনে নিবে?
মাইনে নিচ্ছে না জন্যই তো ঘরের থেকে বাইরে হচ্ছে না, তাই না দিল আফরোজ? এত বড়াই করে কথা কয় না, সবে তো একটা বউ এসে হাজির হয়েছে, খোঁজ নিবে গেলে পরে দেখা যাবে নি আরো কয়টা বাইরে আসতেছে, বুঝছো?
মুখ সামাল করে কথা কবেন, বিয়াদব লোক। আপনার মতো হকিনি নাকি সে? তার ব্ল্যাকমেল করার জন্য মেলা মহিলা মেলা কিছুই কইবার পারে। শুনেন, বিয়ে করবার জন্য যোগ্যতা লাগে।
বাহ, তাহলে তো হয়ে গেল, ভালোই হইলো। তুমি তো মাইনে নিছে মনে হচ্ছে। তাহলে এক কাম করো, সতীনাকে আদর করে ঘরে নিয়ে তোলো, যাও।
ঘরে তোলা লাগলে তুলবো, তার আগে আপনারা সকলে মিলে আমার স্বামীর বিরুদ্ধে যে ষড়যন্ত্র করতেছেন তার বিচার করব। এই বাড়ি থেকে আপনাকে ঘাট ধরে বিদায় করব, তখন আলমগীর হোসেনের পাওয়ার দেখবার পারবেন।
দেখিস রতন, এত কিছুর পরেও এর শিক্ষা হয় নাই। ওই সিটার ওই তো মগজ ধুলাই করে ফেলাইছে, বুঝেছো? হাজির কোনো তো
kind of a misfit in this situation, that you didn't feel like you had landed on a soft place?
When I was first diagnosed with
That was 9?
Yeah, when I was 9, then from there stuff just went downhill.
Okay, so at 9, they diagnosed you as ADHD and bipolar.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was sometime after that that you were diagnosed with a personality disorder.
Correct.
Okay, so what led you to being subject to a diagnosis at 9? What was happening that caused them to take you to mental health professionals at 9?
I believe it was just because of my hyperactivity, so I was very like energetic, and I had a lot of mood swings when I was younger too. Like it would just be really happy and then really sad, and
Okay. You've been to how many doctors, you say, 20?
20, 25 different doctors.
Ogni giorno la loro gioia contagiosa, ci ridiamo. Cuori fedeli, sempre al nostro fianco, amor puro nel loro sguardo. Nelle sere fredde ci stanno vicini, calore e comfort mai soli. Passeggiate lunghe, giorni spensierati, rincorriamo i sogni con loro. Cuori fedeli, sempre al nostro fianco, amor puro nel loro sguardo. Nelle sere fredde ci stanno vicini, calore e comfort nel loro sguardo. Lord comfort, the Lord is God.
And told my sister, and now it's used against me to this day.
You have an internal dialogue, and it's not very positive about yourself, right?
Yes, that's very true.
What do you say to yourself about yourself?
My parents don't love me. I wish I never was born.
These are things that you said. I put them all in one place. My parents don't love me. I'm damaged goods. They regret adopting me. My family's rejected me. If was a biological child, would treat me better. I'm not the perfect child they wanted. I do have a mental illness.
Yeah, I'm disposable. Yeah, that's a big one.
You say it's your belief that your parents need for there to be something wrong with you, so they're not to blame for you not being the perfect child. Because unless there's something wrong with you, it means they've done something wrong.
Yeah.
What do you believe about yourself based on the way you perceive them to treat you?
That I am messed up in the head and stuff like that, and they think I'm a freak, like a mental freak, and sometimes I believe it. And
what if this isn't a Maddie problem? What if this is a family problem?
I believe it is a family problem.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out about that.